Welcome to the Golden Age of Cardboard podcast, where we remember a time when stacks of cards were held together with rubber bands and Mickey mantles were put in bike spokes. We hope you will enjoy and reminisce as you come along with us as we tell stories about the baseball cards from the Golden Age of Baseball. We will examine the state of the vintage baseball card market and talk to some of the greatest collectors in the hobby. You won't be hearing us talk about any chrome or shiny cards here. Now, to take you on this retrospective journey, here's your host, direct from the shallow end of the gene pool, my son, Mike Moynihan.
Hey folks, Ty here, Breaker Culture, Bench Clear Media team. Before you dig into this great interview between Mike and Ray, all about the National this year, and it's one heck of an interview, I promise. I want to take a minute to thank our sponsor for today's episode, the Loop app. I've had a chance to interview Eric a couple times on my podcast, and I've been impressed both times with his ability to understand the hobby and continually to adjust and tweak his app to fit what the hobby's asking for. If you don't know what the Loop app is, click the link in the show notes. It'll take you to either the Android or the Apple iOS download page for you to download the app. It's a free app. You'll see various shops and breakers opening up product, and the experience is absolutely one of a kind. He's doing his best to mimic a hobby shop experience in a single app. You open it up, you see who's breaking, who's live, you pop in, you see the conversations happening. If you want to buy a product or buy a card, you use your Apple Pay. You do. It's so streamlined and convenient. It's well worth your while to check out. So I advise you, take a minute, go download the free app, click the link in the show notes, and support the Loop app and what they're doing there. The other thing I want to mention is that we have a lot of great content that's been coming out the past couple of weeks. You might have noticed a new show called The Mint Condition. The Mint Condition is everything you can imagine about the sports card digital side hobby. NFTs, Top Shot, the crossover between crypto and sports cards and all that craziness that I know a lot of you might be overwhelmed with. Well, the boys from the Mint Condition are doing a great job. They just released episode 2 this week, and they had a really, really good interview. So go check that out. I think you'll enjoy that. They're going to be putting out exclusive content on the Bench Clear channel the coming months. So be sure to go dig into that, educate yourself. I know you'll like it. Some other great stuff happening from Tyson Banker and his football podcast. Be sure to go check that out. And also go check out some new episodes of The Poll coming out this week. One of our favorite shows, one of the shows that got the highest reviews last year was The Poll, and season 2 starts this week. So I think you'll enjoy that. But thanks for staying with us at Bench Clear Media. If you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button and absolutely enjoy this interview with Mike and Ray. See ya.
Yo and hello everybody, Mike here, and welcome to another episode of the Golden Age of Cardboard podcast on Bench Clear Media. Welcome to the show, guys. Today is probably my favorite topic to talk about, and that's the National. And I know it feels like it's only March and the National's, a long way away. Well, it's really not. We're only 135 days away from the National happening. And I know since last year it got canceled for obvious reasons. Totally makes sense why they did that. But, we've got to have a National this year. And I have lots of questions surrounding the National, as I'm sure many of you do out there, about how it's going to look and what it's going to be like, etc. And so I thought, I don't know the answers to these questions. And so what I wanted to do was bring a guest on that does know the answer to these questions. And it's Ray Schute. Ray, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Mike.
Great. Well, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. And I know you're busy getting ready. It's only 135 days away, and that's nothing in the world. Like, that's quick, right? That'll be here before we know it. And a lot of people out there, there's a lot of rumors going around about the National. And so who better to ask than you? Can you please explain to everybody kind of what your role is with the National and how you help them?
Absolutely. Yeah. First, thanks for having me on.
You bet.
Yeah, my role is I'm director of communications for the National. I've been doing it for about 11 years now. And what I do is I work with the media, the media relations, working with all the local and national media. I work with our corporate sponsors. I work with the media within the market that we're having the show. In other words, in Chicago, I deal with all the radio, television, and print outdoor media. Try to maximize the exposure we have, both locally and nationally. And so, and also in trying to bring in some content for the show to, again, make it exciting and make it a venue where everybody wants to come.
Well, I promise you, everybody wants to come. It's, the Super Bowl of the hobby. And I've gone many times in the past, and I miss it being in Texas, by the way. I'm not going to lie to you. The last one was 1990 in Arlington, and I was there. I live in Texas, and so it's I miss it, but I get it. Really great event. If you've never been to the National before, you got to go. It's just one of those things that everybody has to experience, and I can't even describe it. We'll do more shows on the National as it gets closer. But while I have you, Ray, I want to ask some questions. First of all, plans are still going for the National, right? It's going to happen as far as as of this moment. True?
Sure. No, absolutely. The one thing, we have a great team at the National, and so we're pretty much all in sync when it comes each year in terms of what our roles are and what we need to do. I've already started my relationships and my deals with the local media in Chicago and national, and so it's business as usual for us. We're looking forward to a great national this summer. The one thing, Mike, we can't control is obviously things like the pandemic, but it's business as usual as we go forward.
Have you seen an uptick in demand, given the craziness of the hobby and how so many people are getting involved? Have you seen an uptick in demand for number of tables, number of media requests, etc.? Have you seen that increase this year?
Yeah, I mean, normally we're sold out. I mean, we've been sold out for quite a while now. But yeah, I mean, definitely a lot more interest. I work with all with the social media platforms, and I can tell you that in previous years we did a lot of good creative things. But this year, I've never seen as much content and as many exhibitors and collectors who are on social media and doing some great work. I tell you, they're really promoting the hobby, and so it is amazing. It's all I can do just to keep up in terms of just working on the National on the Instagram. If you go to our Instagram page, you'll see that it's some terrific content and some terrific things that are going on throughout the country, and I have to say throughout the world. We're getting a lot of interest from international, and I know if you talk to anybody in the hobby, they'll tell you the same thing in terms of their sales. I mean, they're getting a lot of money from the outside, and I can see why.
How many tables are at the National typically, and is that going to expand and be even larger this year?
Well, we have 400,000 square feet. I don't think we'll be able to expand that. We'll probably have about 650 exhibitors. Then we have our corporate area, and we have the breaking pavilion. So it's going to be a typical show for us. We have a waiting list of people, exhibitors who want to come in, but we'll see. And we don't know. Right now, it's a wait and see game in terms of the exhibitors out there. Whether they're going to come or not, it's up to them based on their own health concerns or issues. And so, but either way, we'll be sold out. I can guarantee that.
Well, speaking of the exhibitors, the major card manufacturers always set up booths. Have you had anybody say, no, we're for sure not coming, we've already nixed the National for this year?
I haven't heard that, no. And Dan Burkus handles our sponsors in our corporate area. He hasn't indicated that to me. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of conversations. Everybody has plans. Everybody have backup plans. Everybody have situations that they need to deal. I mean, that's the world we live in right now. And so, there are a lot of rumors out there, and people are, have certain ideas or recommendations. And but as far as the facts go, we're going forward right now, and we haven't heard anybody who said that they're not coming.
I heard, I can't remember his name, the Upper Deck CEO, mention on a podcast that they are seriously considering not going. Now, again, that I heard it on a podcast from the CEO, but that doesn't mean that's what their official stance is on it. I don't want to try to be a rumor monger here, but the question you said, everybody has backup plans. What is y'all's backup plan for if Chicago can't work out?
Well, we're working with the local and state authorities and health officials right now. We're in constant communication with them. We're in communication with our Donald D. Stevens convention partners, and so right now we're just working on the logistics and the details and the what ifs, and being prepared so that if the pandemic gets worse, then we're in a position to make some decisions. But one thing I can tell you for sure, and I know that there has been rumors out there about this, we're not moving the venue out of Chicago. It's just, I mean, if anybody's ever been behind the scenes or worked on a show like this, you just can't turn on a dime and all of a sudden have a show of this magnitude in any other market. So there's so many factors that come into play, from convention space, from the union workage to the hotels. And so we have some great people, some great partners in Chicago. And we're working on contingency plans right now, but we're hoping that that's not going to be the case. The good news is that with everything going on now, the vaccinations, it looks pretty positive. It's just a matter of how fast and how quickly people can get vaccinated, and the more that do, the easier our decisions will be.
So it's Chicago or bust kind of thing. That's it. That's the plan.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of COVID protocols and social distancing and all that, are you going to require people to have vaccinations to come to the show, or what's y'all's policies right now as it stands here in March 16th?
Well, I think all those things are going to be work in progress for us. I mean, we're having conversations among ourselves and with the authorities and health officials, and we don't know what it's going to be like in July. It may be great, and it may have setbacks, but the one thing we will guarantee is that our priority is the health of our exhibitors and our attendees and our athletes and our entertainers. So we're going to do everything possible to make sure that that is upheld, and everyone can come with a certain level of confidence and be comfortable at the show.
Of course. I mean, everybody wants that. I think nobody's saying that would be foolish not to be as protective as you can for everybody involved, the attendees, the exhibitors, the athletes, everybody. I totally agree with that. So kind of just going to follow whatever is going on. I mean, again, it's a long way away, but it's not a long way away, right? I mean, a lot can happen in 3 months, 4 months in terms of how the pandemic plays out.
Well, that's why I can't sit here and give you any guarantees, because we don't know.
Right.
We're hoping that we've been moving in a positive momentum going forward, but we don't know what's going to happen in June. We don't know what's going to happen. We're hoping that everything is moving forward in the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago, Rosemont, and the convention center will be comfortable in allowing us to do what we're capable of doing. We don't want to have another shutdown, and not to have a national this year. It's we understand that the people out there that are wanting to be there. We understand that, and we're doing everything possible to make that happen.
Yeah, as an advocate and mouthpiece for the hobby and for the community, let me tell you that canceling the National again would be, I mean, you're talking about the biggest show in the world being canceled in the, if it, I mean, let's hope it doesn't get canceled. But if it did, I mean, the 2 biggest years the hobby has ever seen and there's no National, that would be devastating. And again, beyond your control if it had to happen that way. But are y'all looking at different, obviously y'all probably have backup dates. Like if we can't do July, we can, like you tried to do last year, moving it to December. Is that, y'all have talked about probably backup dates and stuff like that if you had to move it?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're in a world that's totally different, and you know, we're hoping that we can you know, maximize our opportunities and be in a position where you know, we don't have to make those contingency plans, but if we do, we do, and we probably won't make any, you know, until we know for sure. You know, we're not going to be in a position to, you know, to make any announcements at this time.
That's fair. Have you all heard any difference in terms of how the autograph pavilion might work? Has TriStar communicated with you guys? Are you planning on, are there some athletes that, I mean, are you planning on having a full autograph pavilion? I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, you know, TriStar has been a great partner. They're really, really good guys. They understand more than anybody else the sensitivities, and you know, from the athlete's perspective, you know, having them be comfortable in coming in, and then obviously with the attendees, we're going to do what's safe and best for our attendees first. I mean, that's the most important thing. And but you know, we're always having conversations with partners like TriStar. To learn and to see how we can maximize the experience. So that's not unusual, and we'll just continue to do that. And you know, they've already started their preparation. They put their feelers out for athletes, and we'll understand, you know, how they feel. I've talked to a lot of athletes that feel like they have no problem making a trip, or you know, as long as maybe they're vaccinated. But everybody's different, and we have to deal with that. So we'll just you know, continue to work with TriStar and maximize that. To answer your question, I can't answer the question in terms of, you know, how many athletes are going to be there or what protocols will be there, but there will be one thing. We'll make sure that anybody does come, you know, they feel safe and comfortable.
Yeah, it's interesting because TriStar hasn't released any of the autograph guests yet, and it's probably because they just don't know yet. And
well, again, I think they're being very precautious. You know, there's really, to tell you the truth, honestly, although I know a lot of people would like to see that, you know, see who's attending. I think they're doing the right thing, and you know, we don't want to put people in a position where, you know, we have an athlete come in and then all of a sudden he has to, you know, he changes his mind or whatever. We want to make sure that, you know, they're comfortable too. So you know, whether it's, you know, in a couple of weeks or in May, you can rest assured that TriStar would do the right thing, and we'll have the top talent there like we normally do.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess that's up to TriStar to really release, you know, okay, here's who's coming, you know, but a lot of people have to plan, you know, you got a budget, you got to plan, you got to think, all right. And it's hard to do, not that it's last minute anywhere close to that right now, but the sooner, I'm always a big believer in tell us sooner rather than later. If whatever is going to happen, tell us so that we can plan accordingly. I mean, most of us, I've got plane tickets booked, hotels booked already for the National. So, you know, I'm going no matter what, again, assuming there's a show, but a lot of people maybe haven't even made plans yet. And hopefully this will give them some comfort that right now the plan is to kind of move forward as is. Are there any plans so far, or have you guys talked about limiting capacity? Again, given the explosion in the hobby, you're sold out in terms of dealers, but in terms of daily tickets and things like that, is there plans on limiting the number? Obviously, fire code only lets you have so many people in the building. Well, if you have twice that many people wanting to get in the building, how do you handle that? Are there going to be things like time slots? I've heard that rumor. Can you address that kind of issue?
Well, again, time slots. Everything out there are rumors right now because I'm hearing that for the first time. So, and there's a lot of people out there speculating what will happen, what might happen, and all I can tell you is that pay attention to the Nationals website, follow us on social media. As soon as we have confirmed information, we'll pass it along. But as far as things like that, we don't know yet. We haven't. Obviously, everything is going to be in discussion. If it means that it has to be regulated such, then we'll let people know. But right now, that's not our intention.
Have ticket sales been strong? So, I mean, tickets are for sale right now on nsccshow.com. You can go buy your daily tickets. You can buy your, passes and all that kind of stuff already. How have ticket sales been?
Ticket sales have been unbelievable. And the one thing about for us, we know that it's going to sell out in terms of capacity. We're going to probably have our biggest show ever, just from the feedback we have, and from. I've had so many different media people contact me in terms of wanting to do stories on the National, and while that's great, it tells me that basically there's such an interest in coming, and it's a combination. Obviously, we didn't have the National last year, but the state of the industry right now is like it's on fire, and a lot of people from the outside that don't understand the hobby want to know why. And so the combination is just going to be probably the best we've ever experienced. So it's one of those things where I don't even know if we have to advertise the National this year. I mean, that's how amazing the feedback has been so far. So.
Yeah, I've been in the hobby for 40 years now, and let me tell you, I've never seen not even close to anything like we've seen in the hobby the last, let's call it 14, 15 months, 18 months. It's a frenzy that I call it a frenzy. It's beyond anything, way beyond more than the junk wax era, whatever. I mean, this is unprecedented, and it'll be exciting to see what the National is like. They had the Dallas Card Show this last weekend here. 605 tables. And it was just, they said it was too packed. Like it was just, it was just like so crazy. Now that's partly product to the venue. I've been to Chicago, been to a National there. It's very much different in terms of walking space and things, but I heard from dealers that it was just way too packed.
We've been we monitor to that. I mean, we got feedback from a lot of people that attend in there, and we'll see. We'll see what happens like in the next couple of weeks. In terms of any backlash or any negativity to the people in terms of coming down with COVID or whatever. We're watching that, but we also understand. We know for certain that people want to make plans. We understand that people want to get excited as soon as they possibly can. There's no question about that. But obviously, we have to be responsible too. I mean, we have to be in a position where we're thinking about your health and welfare before we make any decisions. So. But I can assure you that we're not sitting back and not taking the time to investigate every possible opportunity going forward.
So do you guys follow like y'all go, okay, there's a huge show in this area of the or whatever, and are you watching to see the fallout from that, the feedback from that? And
absolutely, we monitor the entire hobby. I mean, we're always talking about, hey, did you understand or did you see what's going on in the West Coast? And so we're always looking at that because we're always looking to maximize our experience at the National. So obviously shows come under that umbrella for us, and so we're looking at how is the feedback? How can we make it better for our attendees, for our exhibitors? And that's the most important thing for us. But yeah, to answer your question, absolutely.
Okay, I would be remiss if I didn't ask this question for the benefit of the hobby, because it's one of the most talked about topics around the National. And it is, and I think I know the answer, but I want you to answer it, because so many people that live on the West Coast, South, whatever, the National basically rotates among just a couple of different venues, a couple of areas, most of them either Midwest or Northeast. Cleveland's off the rotation now because of the closing of the IX Center. But at what point have you guys talked about, or is there any plans in the future to rotate the show in even more geographic areas beyond the few places that it's been over the last 10 or 15 years?
Well, I actually appreciate that question. I love answering that question because,
I bet you get it a lot. I bet you get it all the time.
Well, sure, and understandably why. We understand that, sure. Before I started working with the National, I mean, I've got a marketing agency, and I also consulted for all the leagues. I was there when Major League Baseball started the Fan Fest in '91 in Toronto, and I worked with them. And at one point, I worked for all 4 leagues in the same year. So I put on these shows within the show, and I understand. So I've been almost at every venue throughout the country, every convention center. I've worked with, good, bad, and the ugly in terms of, from space-wise. From Toronto, we had 2 floors. In Pittsburgh, we had 2 floors. I've worked with unions that are just unbelievably tough to work with. I've worked with unions that are really easy to work with. The thing that goes into and that those shows were those Fan Fests and NFL experiences and NHL and NBA All-Star games. I mean, they're significant events, and they do a lot for the community, and they bring in, they brought in some exhibitors. They don't do that anymore. I don't think that the collectible side of it is incorporated into those shows anymore. But at one point, it was very significant. We had 200 tables, 200 exhibitors in San Diego when the All-Star game was out there. But my point being is that I understand, the want for different markets, but I also will say that it's not that easy to just kind of say, okay, we're going to do a show in San Francisco, we're going to do a show in even Dallas or Boston or Miami. We have 400,000 square feet, and we cannot be on 2 levels. It would just not. It would not work for our exhibitors. It would not work for our attendees. We need X amount of hotel rooms. In many of those markets, we don't get those hotel rooms. So, and traveling, if we had it on people, when we have it on the East Coast, people on the West Coast complain. And so, I mean, there's a lot of different reasons why we're there. We have a great relationship with Chicago. We had a great relationship in Cleveland. Unfortunately, they made a decision based on the pandemic, and we do have a great relationship with our people in Atlantic City. Would we like to be in another market? Absolutely. But again, a lot of the exhibitors vote on this too. It's not just us saying, well, we're going to just stick in Chicago. A lot of the exhibitors, and you may or may not believe this, but a lot of exhibitors love the fact that Chicago, because it's in the middle of the country, and it's just very conducive to everything that goes into a show, from hotel rooms, from access to the space is perfect for us, and I don't think we could get that space. And also too, and the National branched out and did Baltimore. I think Baltimore was my first show that I was working on behalf of the National, and that was great. We had a great show in Baltimore. And so many people say, let's go back to Baltimore. Let's go back to Baltimore. Well, if you understand, the convention people there, the convention people were not willing to save dates for us. They were not willing to do certain things that we need, because again, like you're talking about, people making plans now. we can't be in a position where we don't have something concrete to offer you. And Baltimore would say, well, no, we'll wait another year or two. A lot of these convention centers are holding out in the hopes of getting maybe something bigger, something longer, that have a different relationship. So with us, we need that guarantee years out, and a lot of times we can't get that. So, is the space available? Is it workable? That's the tough thing for us, and the challenge that we always have. But the exhibitors want to vote on being in a certain market. That's one of the things that they have the prerogative to do.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would argue that Chicago is the best place, the national. I mean, hands down, to me, it's the most conducive. The proximity of all the hotels to the convention center, the airport closeness, the Cubs, the White Sox. You got so much Chicago is a perfect place for the national. I think people would either have it in Chicago every year, or expand your horizons and try to find Atlanta or Dallas or somewhere on the West Coast just to put in the rotation. And I get your challenges. I totally understand those. And that makes total sense. It doesn't mean that the hobby has to like it. Just because we understand, it's like, wow, I get it. I just would rather, Atlantic City seemed to me like you got to fly to Philly, or, where are you going to, or New York City or whatever. There's no close they do have an airport, but it's not the same. All of us were complaining about, God, I got to take a train or a Uber an hour and a half from Philly or something. It was not easy for travel. Was going to go nonetheless. Like, I'm not saying it doesn't mean I don't go. It just means that was an interesting choice to do. But again, all the challenges that you guys face, you're probably, like you said, very limited on the different markets that you can truly be in. But I'll make a pitch for Dallas. I mean, good grief, where the Beckett's here, Heritage Auctions is here, Panini is here. Hey, come on down. We'd love to have you. We'd love you guys to be in the Metroplex and do it.
I worked on the All-Star game when it was down there in Dallas, and I worked in the Dallas Convention Center there. I mean, it's a great facility, but I just don't think it can meet our needs. We're especially, think about it now, Mike, in terms of the excitement and the number of people. I don't know if any other venue could be able to hold us. We're worried because Chicago is going to be able to hold us in terms of the number of people. And I don't know if people in the hobby would. Yes, a different location would be great, but I don't know if they'd want that instead of having just the significant number of people that can come to Chicago at this time. During the surge of the industry. I think it'd be a foolish move to move anywhere else right now, and maximize our opportunities, maximize the number of people we can get in the convention center for the sake of the hobby.
How close, I guess, for people doing planning, and then how close right now are you guys to being sold out of hotel rooms that y'all have allocated for the national? Well,
I think again, I think it's. I haven't talked to our hotel person in a couple of weeks, but I do know that there's a lot of hotels being looked at right now. So to answer your question, I think if somebody's thinking about coming, I would definitely visit our website and look at the hotel options and take advantage of it as soon as possible.
I would echo that sentiment completely, because if you're planning on going, you need to get on your plans now. Do not procrastinate, because you will be left potentially disappointed. Do you agree with that, Ray?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think I know the airlines and I think hotels have a forgiveness clause, and so I think, given at this point in time, I think it behooved them to make the decision to go ahead and secure the rooms, and with the understanding that if God forbid, if there are any changes, that they'll be able to back out of them. But I would go ahead and make them.
I agree with that. So you said, I love how much experience you have with all the different leagues and stuff. Are you in the hobby? Like, collect anything?
Well, how I got involved in the hobby was that, I started representing athletes back in the 80s, and basically a lot of my responsibility was, when they got involved with card shows and appearances and things like that. So I actually, got semi-involved with the hobby back then, and then somebody gave me one of the PR guys in New York gave me a movie poster, and they basically said that this is a present for you. Here, thank you. But they told the story. They told the story about how back in the 20s and 30s when there were movies, how the movie companies basically would create hand painted posters or limited posters, and they sent them out to the movie houses. But in order to get the next movie, the movie houses had to return the movie posters. And so all of a sudden now I started thinking about, oh, that's pretty cool. That's something where I can get into. I can learn. I like to learn more about that. And to me, that became a collectible. And so I started, back in the, I guess, late 80s, I started collecting vintage movie posters, and all of them with the story behind it. And so I started doing that, and I love it because I love telling the story. I mean, and that's what what I tell people now. It's not so much whether you're into cards or signings or memorabilia. That's not what it's all about. What it's all about is collecting. It's collecting is the concept. Collecting is what takes us, in terms of learning more about ourselves, being in a position. I mean, I think even now today, with everybody being homebound, it's one of those things where they go through their stuff and they kind of remember history, memories of like when I got that signed baseball or when I picked up that piece. And I think that really helps us in terms of dealing with what we have to deal with now. And for me, it's the same thing. I've gone through old stuff and thinking about some great memories, and so it's like, for me, that creates memories, and that's what I love about the hobby.
Yeah, and for me, and I'll echo this in future national videos, but just so you know, Ray, from a hobbyist, a guy that's done this forever, going to the national is like a giant family reunion. And you see all these friends that you've made through the hobby, and the people are the best thing about the national. The cards are great. The memorabilia is great. The vendors are great. All of that's wonderful. But if there weren't any other people there to share it with, it's a lot less special, And so for us in the hobby, going to the national is yes, you want to pick up cool stuff, and yes, you see stuff there you'll never see anywhere else. But man, it's about seeing all your friends, and
yeah,
it's great.
Absolutely. And one of the things I enjoy is like with working with the manufacturers and at the show, pre-show, and then at the show, they're all genuine. They're all, I mean, they're really good guys and good people. And I love what they do with the kids. I mean, one of the things that the National has done in the last couple of years, I mean, Mike Burkus and John Brogy were really the people behind it. But, when they started allowing kids 12 and under come in for free 5 days during the week, that just helped out. And then I think everybody picked up on that, and the manufacturers now, when they do the breaks and you walk by and you see like 50, 60, 75 kids sitting there waiting for for the next break to come on, and the giveaways and all that. We've never had so many kids in at our show ever in the last couple of years, and it's just been really kind of worthwhile for us to know that kids, and not only kids, but I see mothers, I see daughters, I see grandfathers, grandmothers coming to the show, which maybe 5-10 years ago we didn't see. But today it's not just about even purchasing something. It's coming down, and you're in the thick of things in terms of stories and One father was talking about Mickey Mantle and his son was talking about Aaron Judge, and all of a sudden there's a bond. And I witnessed that. And I said to myself, I hope that's the case for my son, that we can enjoy the same thing. So that's the rewarding part of coming to a show for me. But seeing all the people there, I've made some great friends through the national, and to be able to see them once a year at that show, it's great.
Yeah, it is. Well, I appreciate your time today, Ray, and I know you're a busy guy getting ready and prepping for everything. Any final thoughts you want to give to everybody out there about the show, or where can they find it on Instagram and follow the news and what's happening, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I understand there's going to be a lot of rumors out there because everybody has, an opinion, and everybody has an idea of what may or may not happen. But I can tell you, I can rest assured that we're doing everything possible to put on a great show again this year. There's no other plans that we have right now other than move forward. I think that if you pay attention to our social media and our website, we'll be updating it as much as possible. But we hope that if you're able to make it to Chicago, one thing I can guarantee, it's going to be an unbelievable experience this year.
I agree. Everybody should go if you can, even if it's for one day. You should go for more than one day, but if you can only go for one day, you should at least go for one day. You won't see it all, but that's okay. Ray, again, thanks so much for coming on the show. Ray, you stick around when I hit end record and in the broadcast. But everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks again, Ray.
Thanks, Mike.
See you guys at the National.